Good evening. Pursuit Giraffe is going to be your EVOC instructor. Have a seat. Alright, we put police officers through EVOC, or the Emergency Vehicle Operations course. It has other names in different places, but whatever. For a whole host of reasons, but the two primary goals of it is to teach them to drive faster and safer. Not one or the other, but both. Faster and safer. And the safety bit there is important. So, I've been watching a lot of pursuits here on the inner tubes lately, now noticing that something that's coming up in a small fraction of these videos, but even if it works out to be something like 1% of pursuits where this is happening, raw number-wise, that's going to be a lot of incidents. And the pursuit will be happening, and so, you know, bad guys running away, and the cops like, woo, 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 woo. And then for some reason, the officer will pull up alongside them, parallel with them. Now, I understand if it's a pit, although you're not really trying to get parallel with them for the pit, or if it's a team of officers working together to box someone in. That makes sense. But these officers, as near as I can tell, are just pulling up alongside the person they're chasing. And it kind of reminds me of an episode where the coyote is chasing the roadrunner, and they go through a series of tubes, and it comes out the coyote's been shrunk, and he gets up next to the roadrunner, who's like huge now, and he looks up, and the roadrunner looks down and goes, "Me, me," which translated to, "Now that you've caught me, what are you going to do with me?" And the coyote's like, "Meh." Because now that you've gotten alongside these people, now what? Okay, so here is a rather banal example that is only mildly annoying to me, but,
Dude, just pull over for a second, okay? Pull over. Just pull over. Dude, just pull it over! Pull over! Got visual with the driver. He's not stopping. I don't know what his deal is yet. Dude, just pull over! Pull over! I'm gonna pitch you if you don't pull over! Pull over! Pull over! I can't hear you!
Now, the funny bit there is he's yelling at this guy, "I can't hear you, pull over." You know, the sound works both ways.
Pull over! I can't hear you!
In, I think, every state in the Union, it is the case that the siren has to be audible under normal circumstances not less than 500 feet away, which is a lot further than you can yell and have someone understand you, but he's nevertheless trying to shout at the guy. Now, the other thing that you need to remember is when you start getting into one of these situations where the adrenaline's starting to go, you're getting a failure to yield or whatnot, as officers, that your field of vision narrows. And if you have pulled alongside someone, in this case, the officer at this point is only going like 35 miles per hour, and it's an interstate, it's divided, not a lot of pedestrian traffic, so the chances of his hitting something are very, very slim. And if he does, it's not likely going to result in a lot of injuries or pedestrians not getting splatted or whatever, so that's why I say it's kind of a banal case. But the one thing that he's doing, because he's got his window rolled down and he's yelling at the person, is this. He's not driving like this and shouting. You don't pull up alongside someone to, like, pretend they're not there. Ooh, doo-doo-doo. Yoo-hoo, sir, over there to my right, pull over, buddy. He's looking at the guy, which means that he's not seeing what's going on in front of him for however long he's doing his little back and forth. Now, the 35 mile per hour speed, as I mentioned, banal case, mildly annoying to me. Not a lot's going to go wrong at such a low speed. But then we get into other instances, like this one.
Both high-performance cars attack the road and somehow keep from flipping over, even at triple-digit speeds. Suddenly, the BMW leaps into high gear, and in seconds, it cranks up to 150. The deputy pulls even. What happens next is terrifying.
Now, such as I'm aware, the speeds during this pursuit were hanging around about 125 plus miles per hour on this stretch. So this officer, for some inexplicable reason, at 125 miles per hour, decides to pull up alongside this person, and in the video, oh, I'll put it up. Here we go.
Once the officer gets door to door with the suspect, the teen threatens to ram him.
The subject made a movement with his shoulders as if he was driving like he was going to swerve at me.
The officer reacts instantly.
So that's when he notices the guy was making like he was going to swerve into the officer, which means that the officer is watching him, driving at 125 miles per hour like this. I guess comparing makeup tips until something happens. I mean, I don't know what he thought he was going to do. Boom! Oh shit, this is the cops. Where to pull over now? Oh, your lights and sirens have me all confused. I thought there was a disco party just following me around all day. Anyway, so, and that's when this happens. It happened to have worked out well, fortunately. Now, if you want, watch that a couple of times and time how long this guy's, you know, doing the slippity slide. And I thought what we could do is talk about how poor of a decision it was on this officer's behalf. So he's traveling. I'm just going to assume that it's 125 miles per hour. That's what we're going to work from. So he's bad guy's car. Whoa, it's a really bad guy's. It's a really bad car. And he's pulled up about dead even with the guy, not to scale. And he's like doing the looky-loo. Hey, you flee here often? Just kidding. Pull over. And his field of vision is going to be narrowed because adrenaline and high-speed pursuits and all that shit. But he's traveling at 125 miles per hour, which means that he's traveling at about 183 feet per second. Which means that every second he's doing this, he has gone 183 feet. Now, assuming that I'm going to use the 90th percentile here, which is to say a second and a half for perception reaction time. That means that if he happens to look back in front of him and notice some obstacle right as it's happening, then before he applies the first bit of pressure to the brake pedal to start shedding this speed, 1.5 seconds will have gone by. It's probably a little bit less. But I'm just going to go with that because it's the 90th percentile. Anyway, so in that time he'll travel 274 feet. Now remember, that whole 274 feet, that whole second and a half, he's still traveling 125 miles per hour. He hasn't yet hit the brake pedal. So, let's see here. How long is it going to... what's the stopping distance going to be? Oh, let's be generous to him. So, so the stopping distance is going to be the square of the speed divided by 30 times the coefficient of friction. Right now it's going to be kinetic friction, and then we'll adjust it to make it static for ABS, and we'll say he has a very efficient ABS system. One of the Japanese models, I guess. So 120%. And the roadway looks like it's Portland cement, so I'm going to say that it's got a coefficient of friction of 0.95. Well traveled. Okay. So I'm being a little bit generous to him, so that's 114% times 30, so that's 34.2. Divided by the square of the speed, which was what, 125? 125 squared is 156.25. If you want to know how I did that, just odd bit of trivia here. If you're squaring something and it ends in 5, it's always going to end in 25. And then what you do is you take whatever, well, in this case it's 12, 5. So you kind of block that off. And you're going to multiply this number by 1 higher than itself. So in other words, 12 times 13, which is 156. If you want to try with something like 35, so 35 squared, we know it's going to end in 25, and then 3 times one number higher than itself, in other words 3 times 4, which is 12, so 1225 is what that's going to be. Just a little bit of trivia there for you, if you were wondering. Okay. Oh, yeah, what's that number got to be? So on a good day, with a very efficient system that has high performance tires, he's going to travel 456 additional, it's going to take him 456 feet to stop. Plus whatever he traveled there, so that's plus that, which is going to be 731 feet. Now, he's got an American car, so his brakes aren't actually that efficient. He's probably actually getting just right around gravity, so that's what it is, 156, 25, so that's 520, a little less, okay, around 525 feet, we'll say. Plus that, so about 800 feet stopping distance, which that's, let's see, of a mile, that's what, 5,000, 2,500, 1,225, I'm sorry, 1,250, 625. It's about an eighth, it's a little bit larger, so what is that, about a seventh of a mile? Let's see. Okay, so it's 15% of a mile, give or take. So, okay, so a seventh is about 14.2%. Okay, not too bad. Anyway, so while he's doing this, that's making unnecessarily setting open a space to just randomly injure some member of the public. And in this case, because the guy did actually swerve towards him, he spins out, and he's as they mentioned in the video, he's right.
For one heart-stopping moment, the cruiser takes flight.
When the car was airborne, I thought that this could hurt. This could really hurt me.
But now the deputy finds himself on a collision course with another cruiser.
At the speed that he was traveling when I came back across the roadway, if we would have made contact, if I would have even touched his car, it could have sent him spinning.
So, in addition to unnecessarily endangering the public lives, the lives of other officers, and his own life, and just like at high speed, hey, what are you doing here? You have to factor in, if you pull up alongside someone who's pursuing, who's trying to elude, what you're already in is a situation where once that person gets stopped, it's going to be a high-risk stop. So you're going to be at gunpoint. Which means that if you're going to treat it that way once it stops, you should treat it that way the whole time that it's going on, and not make a target of yourself. Remember the geometry of what the person can see, and what their fields of view would be in their fields of fire. I mean, because it does happen that people shoot at the cops during pursuits, like here. Or here.
Nick, hold the air! Metro! Metro, shots fired! Someone just shot at my car! Three shots, 5 shots, Metro! He is behind me shooting at me!
Or here.
He's backing up. 63, we got 3 in with God damn!
Yeah, go, go, go! Get that son of a bitch!
Anyway, pulling up beside someone, dead even, if they happen to have a shotgun, and they just put it out the window, it's going to be a really bad day for you. And it's just something that all I can say is in the officer's case with the Camaro, if I'd been his supervisor, he and I would have had a come to Jesus talk. He could have gotten people killed. High-speed pursuits are already dangerous. There is absolutely no reason whatever to compound the danger, to add to it. Just because you're frustrated, the person isn't pulling over. There's absolutely nothing that you're going to do at 125 miles per hour to terminate a pursuit by pulling up alongside someone and looking at them. If I'm giving you the hairy eyeball. Well, I don't know, maybe, ah, shit. Ah! I don't know, something like that. Maybe that could work. What do you think, Mr. Giraffe? Okay, so I'm getting a little bit rambly here, but it's just one of the things, officers, if you happen to be a police officer and you're watching this, don't do that shit.